everybody. Good afternoon, Albuquerque. This is such a wonderful gathering of folks from all areas of downtown. And so just want to start by thanking everyone for coming out. We obviously have, in some ways, kind of a traditional public announcement, but I know there's enough folks from the community here and even neighboring communities like our West Downtown crews over there and some others that we're also going to touch on a few notes just in general where we're at as a city with respect to public safety and a few others. We also have a number of speakers here that we're going to hear from, but not everyone. So I want to introduce some folks that are here available for questions or to speak to the community after. We've got the House Representative from downtown, Javier Martinez. Javier, where are you at? Right here. Round of applause. And we've got Norm Uhlenmeyer from Asset Management Solutions on behalf of 500 4th and 303 Roma ownership. Norm, where are you?
Back here.
Back here. Norm, awesome. Good to see you. And Hilma Chenoweth on behalf of Garcia Automotive. I think I saw her. Hilma, thank you for coming. And of course, does all sorts of good things in our community. Lola Bird is here with ABQ Main Street. Lola, give us a wave. In the back. Lola, thank you. And Beth Waltrip from AED and Deb Inman, I think also here. Wave, Deb, Beth, thank you. And Len Romano and Jay Remby from West Downtown. Our downtown neighbors to the west, thank you for being here. And Rowan Weimark from our Crime Commission and the Community Policing Council. I don't know if I saw Rowan. There you are. And your dog, excellent. We're pet friendly. So thank you all for being here. And of course, we have lots of another dog. We have lots of folks from the city, and there's a reason for that, because this is in many ways a very new, integrated, hopeful solution for our city. And a big part of it is working across departments and part of living up to that notion of one Albuquerque. So I just want to mention too, excuse me, who's here, our COO, Lawrence Rael. Familiar face, Lawrence, give us a wave. And Lawrence, Paul Dow from AFR Fire Department. Paul's here, Chief. Our department directors, Bernie Toon, Cynthia Armillo, Matthew Whalen, Pat Montoya, and Shel Sanchez, representing 5 different departments. Waves. And planning is also here. The ever-present David Campbell. And of course, some key deputy directors with respect to this initiative for housing and homelessness, Lisa Huval and Gilbert Ramirez for behavioral health. Okay, there are a bunch of other organizations here. I'm not going to go into all of them. But it's important that we're coming together as a community, because what we're talking about here today, hopefully, will eventually move the needle when it comes to a lot of challenges we're facing downtown. I see Two-Way Street here, by the way, too. Anyway, I'm not going to go into all the shout-outs, because like that whole area, it's great to see you. So let me start with this. For those folks who are maybe a little bit newer to downtown, maybe a little bit newer to our community, you know, downtown in Albuquerque's had a long road. There was sort of the glory days in the 50s and 60s when downtown was truly the center of the entire state of New Mexico. And it was a commercial center as well as a residential hub and a transit hub. We know that times are different. We're not saying that we're going to get back to that. But we know that reflecting on that vision and living up to a modern version of that is actually where we have to go. We also know that over the 70s and 80s, you know, frankly, downtown hit a real low point. And starting with the rebuilding of this facility, with the investment of the McCune Foundation and others downtown, we began to revitalize downtown back in the 90s. And believe it or not, that's actually the downtown I remember was when this was built. And the scene, whether it's the bar scene downtown or the offices and the different buildings that you've seen here, the modern version of Albuquerque downtown really started in the 90s. And it started actually with 3 mayors. It started with Marty Chavez and Jim Baca and R.J. Berry as well. The challenge is over the last, let's say, 10 years, we've been kind of stuck in a rut. We haven't really moved much further after what happened in the 90s. And part of that has to do with lingering public safety challenges. And so today we're here to announce the Downtown Public Safety District. This is a very different idea than we've tried in the past, and it's one that honors the notion that really, our city still rises and falls with downtown Albuquerque. This is the only place, and really in our state, that is truly urban. It's the only place that makes sense to have an urban police force. It's the area that is actually policeable exclusively by bike and by foot. And it's an area, of course, that is still the center of our public transportation system. And because of Albuquerque's outsized role in the rest of the state, this actually goes for the whole state. So as I've said many times before, we truly rise and fall with downtown at the end of the day. And when I say we, I think to a large extent that even means the broader state of New Mexico. And so this is a critical component to a statewide strategy about lifting up New Mexico, and it starts with downtown Albuquerque. I also want to share that, of course, this notion is reflected on what we've seen all across the country. Whether it's Tulsa, or whether it's Omaha, or whether it's Denver. The bottom line is the downtown of the largest city in the state is what lifts and or doesn't lift the rest of the state. And so that's why this project is so important. That's also why it's so unique. We're talking about a public safety district that is integrated and that is dedicated to downtown. I know a lot of folks around the city and perhaps even around the state would love the same thing. But the reality is downtown is different. This is different for a host of reasons that we're going to go into. That's why we treat it differently when it comes to public safety. So going forward, I think in the past we've had a lot of different ideas that have been essentially pilot projects, or they've been one-time efforts to either ramp up policing, ramp up issues with respect to homelessness, or ramp up economic development. But they've been short-term initiatives meant to be sort of an injection to sort of kickstart the whole area. We are looking at this differently. This is the beginning of a sustained effort, an effort that is dedicated, an effort that is totally different than we've done before, and I believe an effort that is eventually actually going to make a difference. And so today we are here to announce the Downtown Public Safety District that integrates services from multiple departments across the city and is essentially a public-private partnership with our business community and also a lot of the service providers. Now, since coming into office, we've developed an all-hands approach when it comes to public safety. And in many ways, this is a microcosm of that. You are going to see, and we're going to give you a tour of this facility right here, which used to be the prisoner transport station, which of course now in cooperation with the county, we've moved over in the basement of the old county jail, and that is an integrated approach to folks reintegrating in the community. So now we're going to use this facility for something different, integrated public safety. And so the downstairs is all about community policing, it's all about eyes on the street, and upstairs we're going to take you to another area that is about working in our family and community services, our efforts that are non-law enforcement related that still impact downtown. Now today we want to state clearly we are trying to move beyond the notion of a Band-Aid solution for downtown and instead have a dedicated command structure that ensures accountability for results and that reflects the notion of what it means to have a downtown community policing area and program in downtown Albuquerque. Community policing for us is much more than things like officers shooting hoops with kids in the community, although that is important. It is about saying, look, there is a place right here in downtown where not only is there law enforcement, but there's access to public services when it comes to housing, homelessness, and behavioral health programs. And so instead of having officers randomly assigned to downtown from the Valley Area Command, we're going to have a dedicated force. And our chief is going to walk us through what that dedicated force means in a little bit. But that means homelessness, substance abuse, mental health services, and keeping our streets safe and clean with respect to vandalism and even traffic control, and also our bar and nightclub public safety program that we're working on Friday, Saturday nights, and what we're working on with respect to safe and appropriate cruising on Sunday nights. And so a lot of this is the result of some undercover work. As folks know, our CAO, Sarita Nair and I, and some others have been spending a lot of time downtown, including 2:30 a.m. And I'm not old enough to have forgotten what that means when I was actually partying downtown. And actually, it hasn't changed that much, which is part of the reason why we're doing this. But we have a host, literally dozens of changes that we're going to be making and testing over time downtown, both during the day and at night and in specific areas of downtown. So let me wrap at least my section up by reflecting a little bit on where we're at when it comes to public safety. We are hopefully seeing early results of addressing public safety from all sides. We've got a long way to go, but we know we're committed to DOJ reforms and restoring trust in our department. Part of that is restoring trust downtown with the residents and the businesses. It also means appointing new leadership for APD Command, which we have here behind me. It means rallying for more funds with City Council for our public safety efforts, which we were able to do. And it means reopening the Nob Hill substation. And it means the shortly to be announced reopening the Downtown Substation, which we're going to talk about in a few weeks. And it also means more bait cars on the street. It means connecting the ART cameras to the real-time crime center. And it means even getting eyes in the sky 24/7 with a new helicopter for our police department. But this today is about making downtown a safer place to work, live, and play. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's a long road. But this is a huge step forward for our department and for our city. And so with that, I want to introduce our Chief of Police to walk through some of the details in this, Chief Mike Geyer. Chief.
Thank you. We are successfully fighting crime when we engage with communities to come up with solutions to keep people safe. That's exactly what we're doing here downtown. This is a dynamic community down here, and we need dynamic solutions that need to be driven by police working hand in hand with the people who live, work, and even visit here downtown. As Mayor Keller said, we are making a permanent commitment to downtown, and we're doing it in a very comprehensive way. The Downtown Public Safety Substation will be located on the ground floor here at the Alvarado Transit Center. Our police officers will park on the street here, outside the ATC at 5-meter spots right across the street on Gold, and also at First and Central, to ensure that there's a visible police presence here downtown. Currently, we're going to have 8 officers assigned, 1 sergeant, 1 lieutenant, and 1 deputy chief to be working in this downtown public safety district. As of September 18th, we'll add an additional 4 officers to the rotating shifts. The substation will be headed up by Deputy Chief Roger Banez and Lieutenant Ray Del Greco. Lieutenant Del Greco will be has been conducting a staffing study to determine scheduling needs on both APD sworn and civilian staffing. It's also going to include bike and foot patrol down here. We're also going to have crisis outreach and support teams known as COAST and public service officers or aides known as PSAs. Let me tell you a few of the ways we've already made some impact and are taking action down here. We've been targeting the drug dealers, especially in the area with TAC plans to combat that problem. There's been narcotics activity. We've cleared 8 felony warrants and made 13 arrests just on those contacts. We've seized heroin, cocaine, and methamphetamine. We've recovered 3 guns, a stolen flak jacket, and stolen tools, and included 5 summons and 5 misdemeanor arrests. That's just in about the last 7 to 10 days. So we've been trying a lot of different approaches to prevent fighting also when bars close. We know that's always been a problem over the years. And also to help people safely get home when they're with rideshare pickup areas down there. So our violent crimes detectives, you may have read in the paper, recently worked diligently to arrest the 2 offenders that had viciously beat up the homeless young man in the downtown area. We're looking forward to working to help clean up downtown. It's been a long time coming. We want to make this public safety district a success. So I'm going to let our Chief Administration Officer, Sarita Nair, now tell you about how many of the other departments are contributing to this same effort. Sarita.
Thanks, Chief. So I'm here to talk about sort of the all-hands-on-deck approach, but I want to start just by thanking all of the directors and other folks from City Hall that you see here today. The mayor and I really asked everyone to step outside of their comfort zones, to experiment, to move a lot more quickly than City Hall normally moves, and to break down their silos, to work with each other on a really regular and consistent basis. And everybody you see behind me stepped up to the challenge. So I'm very grateful to everyone for making this happen. Making a safe and vibrant downtown Albuquerque means that we have to address a whole host of issues. Mayor Keller called on us to ensure that this is an all-hands-on-deck approach. So let me tell you about some of the departments that are working on this project. Albuquerque Fire Rescue will increase its presence by posting near Central during high-volume call times, and also by driving around the perimeter of downtown, just to make folks who are walking around feel a little safer because they know that there's other eyes on the street. Also, the new home engagement and alternative response team is looking at possibly setting up shop downtown as a central base for some of the alternative community health approaches that they're going to be taking. The Department of Municipal Development, Pat Montoya is behind me, and Transit, Bernie Toon, the director, will be contributing security personnel, who you see, some of whom you see around the perimeter here, and they'll also be coordinating with Deputy Chief Banez to make sure, again, that we have more eyes on the street, more people looking out for pedestrians and bicyclists. The Solid Waste Department is taking a huge lift down here. They're going to be running a street cleaning machine through the downtown area and alleyways on Fridays and Saturday nights. And they've added collection routes for businesses to address some of the overflows of trash that you see on the streets and in the alleys. They're also using the block by block program to wash sidewalks and the Clean City graffiti crew to eradicate graffiti as soon as possible. And our Economic Development Department will be supporting the officers who have been going from business to business and making those connections to understand what folks need, not just in terms of public safety, but also to support their businesses. So when we talk about fighting crime from all sides, that means taking a comprehensive approach with the issues that our community is facing and struggling with. And that also includes homelessness, behavioral health, and addiction. We have a special focus on those areas because we don't just want to move these problems around the city. We want to actually bring services to the people who need them where those people are, and a lot of those folks right now are downtown. So the Family and Community Services Department is dedicating a social worker to coordinate with service providers in the district and implement a Project ECHO model to train mental health workers right here in the district. They'll also work to help those in need of shelter, behavioral health services, and substance abuse treatment to access those services. We have the Street Connect program, which we do with Heading Home, that assists a number of people with significant behavioral health disability in experiencing homelessness and gives them sort of an intensive case management. And then they also have a partnership with the New Mexico Coalition to End Homelessness to assist homeless service providers in delivering their services more effectively and in a more targeted way. As the chief mentioned, we have APD's COAST teams who are trained in crisis management, and they're going to work right out of the substation with those experiencing behavioral health crises. And we'll also be partnering with the crisis intervention teams and the mobile crisis teams, which are both the city and the county, HopeWorks, and many of our other partners. Finally, the Safe City Strike Force will monitor the district and work closely with Family Community Services and other providers. And those are the folks who work on criminal nuisance abatement, try to get those properties cleaned up or shut down. The mayor also touched on closing time, and we know that thriving cities have a thriving downtown nightlife and safe places for people to go during those times. So after we witnessed some of the closing time events, we began to work on a plan to make things work smoother. We've adjusted the rideshare pickup so that Uber and Lyft drivers can pick riders up at a well-lit, easily accessible location right up on 3rd and Central. We're still working out some of the kinks on that, but the first night we went down there, we basically saw women sprinting from Central to some other corner to get their Lyft ride, and we knew that that was unacceptable. We needed a dedicated spot for them. We also know that a thriving nightlife keeps the economy pumping, and just last week we announced the Engage program to fill empty storefronts with art and vendors while giving access to brick and mortar storefront spaces, giving those spaces some life again so that folks can see what they would look like if they were rented and might be more likely to rent them in the long term. As I mentioned, over the past several months, Lieutenant Ray Del Greco has been engaging with downtown businesses and residents to get a better understanding of their needs. And those relationships mean that I think folks understand that we appreciate the investment that they're making by bringing their families to downtown, by having their businesses in downtown through the good times and through the bad. And we want to make sure that every single business owner down here feels like they have a personal connection to the folks at the substation. So here to talk a little bit more about what it means to be a business owner in downtown is Mike Trujillo.
Good afternoon, my name is Mike Trujillo. I am the co-owner and operator of Arise Music and Coffee. We're located just around the corner on 112 2nd Street Southwest in the Sunshine building. I would be remiss if I didn't mention my co-owner who's over there working hard while I'm over here having a good time. His name is Roman Barham, and he does a tremendous job. First off, before I continue, I'd like to thank the City of Albuquerque and Mayor Keller's administration and APD as well, and everybody involved in this initiative for inviting me here to speak briefly about what is going on and what kind of impact we as business owners downtown can have within this initiative as well. And Albuquerque, I love the city of Albuquerque a great deal, but what means the most to me is downtown from several aspects. For many years, I've been a part of the entertainment district here in one capacity or another. Now I'm a business owner downtown, and I also utilize the Alvarado Transport Center. So I've lived down here, I see everything, I know what's going on, and right now what this initiative is moving forward to is vastly appreciated, greatly appreciated, I should say. I really appreciate the opportunity to be a part of something that's big in terms of helping, a culmination of people together, helping with the homelessness, helping with a lot of the problems that happen in and around downtown. This is a beautiful, beautiful downtown. I think a lot of people that come through understand it. I just had some folks in from San Antonio in our shop today, and they really loved what they see down here. And I told them, look, you can go down Central, you can go to the Kiva, you can go to Launchpad, you can go to Sister Bar, you can go to a number of these places and have a good time. It really is a lot of fun. And then they can take the Breaking Bad tour, which they were also asking about as well. But again, Lieutenant Del Rey Greco, we do appreciate the extension from APD in terms of helping out what's going on down here and keeping it safe. For a long time, downtown Albuquerque was getting the rap that it's not a good place to go, that it's unsafe. I don't want to be there. Yet there was a lot of thriving entertainment, a lot of fun, a lot of great microbreweries and restaurants, and just a lot of great vibe. But we want our people to be safe down here. And again, I'm very proud to be a part of this initiative. Our business is open to anybody and everybody to come on in, have a cup of coffee, look through our records, and then go around and have a good time at the other places and check out some of the great local music and a lot of the things that are offered by the city of Albuquerque. And just real quickly, one last thing I'd like to add. We haven't had a lot of interaction with APD lately, knock on wood. We did have a couple of our windows broken initially when we first started, but things worked well. We had great communication with APD. We really did appreciate that. And hopefully we won't have to worry about that too much going forward. Hopefully it'll be more of a positive vibe. I have noticed a change. It's more relaxed downtown. I see officers on foot patrol, which I appreciate better. They can go up, you can shake their hand, talk to them and such, and if there's a problem, you can take care of it there rather than an imposing atmosphere of horses and tanks and police cars and all that other stuff. So with that in mind, thank you very much, and thank you again, Mr. Keller and APD. I do appreciate the time and opportunity, and I think all of us here will know that Albuquerque's downtown district will arise. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Mike. I'll check on that tank. I'll make sure that they leave it parked. I did not know we had a tank, so I'm super excited to be here and to be tasked with this mission by the chief and the mayor, because today I see a group of departments, community members, stakeholders, business members, business owners. And I feel the support. Based on what I see here today and what's been said so far, I believe that our mission to revitalize the downtown area is going to be a success because of all the support we're receiving from everybody here and the department, the mayor, and different departments within Albuquerque Police Department. And a key thing about community policing, everybody talks about community policing, but Mayor Keller is putting it together, putting it into action today by bringing us together, by helping each other develop and revitalize downtown. The whole point of community policing is to tailor law enforcement to unique needs of the community. I mean, we just can't come in here and do policing like it was Las Vegas or San Francisco. Albuquerque downtown is unique, and we have to adjust our policing based on the uniqueness of the citizens and the community here in Albuquerque. The biggest thing is that we want to build a relationship and earn the trust of the communities that we promise to serve. And with me being here, I guarantee you that will be one of my top priorities. APD is organized into 6 geographic area commands. You've got the Northeast, Northwest, Southeast, Southwest, Valley, and Foothills. Creating a downtown district within the Valley Area Command allows us to directly address the unique needs of this community. And I want to thank Mayor Keller for identifying it and for allowing us to do innovative policing down here in Albuquerque. From a law enforcement perspective, we are going to attack criminal activity in all of its forms, whether it's battery on personnel that are trying to enjoy downtown, whether it's drug dealing. We want everybody here to feel safe when they come enjoy our downtown. Not just the tourists, not just people that visit, but safe for the citizens of Albuquerque and the citizens of the state of New Mexico. We should be the prime spot for New Mexicans to come visit because of what we have here downtown. As we expand our law enforcement footprint, it's important to realize that this is much bigger than a crime problem. We have to interact daily with the homelessness, personnel that are experiencing homelessness, drug abuse. We have to be part of the solution. We have to come in, assist these individuals to get them back on the street, off the streets, back into their families, and reintegrate them back into society. And I'm really proud that we're going to have experts from Family Services, and thank you very much, and as well as the psych services, because obviously I'm just a police officer. You can tell me to arrest somebody, I'm an expert at that, but these folks here that are behind me are experts in their jobs in helping us help you and the folks that are unable to help themselves. I want to thank, if you haven't realized or have seen, we've got support from Transit. They are doing patrols, checking out the bus stops along Central and along Silver and along the transit corridor here. So we want people to drive into the transit station, come out, go visit our downtown, and enjoy it. And we've got the support from Bernie Toon to ensure that the transit security is a part of the process to improve the downtown area. I also want to recognize the Block by Block program, which employs 8 safety ambassadors who are keeping this area clean and are usually the first to see or hear things, and they're the ones that would call us. They've got our numbers. They'll call us if they see something, and we will address it immediately, especially if it's a criminal activity or it impacts the community, the quality of life here in the downtown area. But the last thing I want to say, I'm really happy. I'm really proud of the direction we're going, and I promise you with everything I've got that I will do my best to succeed in making sure that the downtown area is one of the best locations to visit here in the state of New Mexico. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up here in just a minute. 2 things before we do that, and then we'll take some questions. First, I just want to highlight what it means structurally and from this sort of notion of like, how are you really prioritizing this? Having a deputy chief for downtown is a big, big deal. And so I want to thank our chief for his vision with respect to that, and also for Chief Banyas for taking on a challenge that none have taken on so far. So let's give him and his lieutenant, Del Greco, he's around here somewhere. These are the 2 folks in charge of downtown Albuquerque right now. Okay, and so to wrap up, we have a great counselor downtown who supports this, and he couldn't make it to share a few quick words, is his policy analyst, Diane Dolan.
Councilor Benton regrets that he couldn't be here today personally to thank Mayor Keller and Chief Geyer, but he asked me to read a statement from him. When the railroad came to Albuquerque in the 1880s, the area in which we stand became the center of vibrant activity in New Albuquerque. Less than 90 years later, in the early 1970s, the ill-conceived urban renewal demolished most of the historic fabric, including our beloved Alvarado Hotel. A Greyhound bus station was built, but otherwise the area remained inactive and vacant. A fire then destroyed our iconic and historic train station. In the late 1900s and early 2000s, our city leaders wisely invested in revitalizing the area. The Alvarado Multimodal Transportation Center was built to combine in-city bus transportation with intercity bus and rail. The old station was demolished and its site was reassembled into the original city blocks, making the area available for redevelopment. A master plan was developed to bring entertainment, housing, and retail to help revitalize downtown. The Alvarado Transportation Center Task Force was created to bring together the public and private sectors to accomplish the redevelopment. The success of that vision is evident today, with blocks occupied by high-density, mixed-income housing, a grocery and pharmacy, movie theater, box theater, and new restaurants. The opening of the One Central is the latest evidence of the success of the master plan, bringing more residents and entertainment options to downtown. The Alvarado Task Force continues to meet periodically to coordinate activity in the area, and its stakeholders have over recent years expressed increased concern over public safety in the area. Despite redevelopment, little had changed with regard to policing except for block by blocks downtown ambassadors, continued outreach, and cooperation with APD's presence. As counselor for the area and chairman of the task force, I want to express my appreciation of the Keller administration and the new leadership at APD in recognizing the critical need for better police presence. That presence, coordinated with our transit security officers, private stakeholders, social service providers, and more hours for block by blocks ambassadors, finally brings the strategic integrated public safety that we need for all of downtown. I'm hopeful that this effort will not only be successful, but that Albuquerque will become a national model for public safety in the downtowns that are so critically important to our local and regional economies.
A couple of loose ends to tie out. The district also extends all the way to Mountain. So we're going to start by working sort of here and slowly work our way out. But the reason for that is, of course, to help deal with some of the homeless migration and challenges for the businesses and residents headed out towards Wells Park. So just wanted to highlight that. And also forgot to mention Albuquerque Chamber of Commerce, Terry Cole here representing.